Hello everybody, welcome back to Zero Tolerance TV. ZT here, moving on with this here 2003 OSL. These are the group stages, just like with the Shinhan Bank OSL. It's just a playlist I found on YouTube, so casting from that. Got kOs here in the top left of Guillotine. And his opponent in yellow is XellOs. So kOs did just lose to Zeus. So I think he's 1-1 now. And XellOs, I can't remember. He may be 0-2 already. I'm not sure though. I only played Jinnan. I can't remember who won that game. But that was the loser's map. Just a quick look at Guillotine. Not entirely sure why it's called that. It's often a mystery with these maps, but one thing that is good to note is how close these spawns are, especially look at the naturals, which are right next to the bases, very close to each other, so things like drops are quite good on this map, I would think. Basically any sort of air attack has a very short distance to your opponent's main. You may even be able to siege tanks on your side of the wall. I don't think you'll be able to and shoot over. That might be a good strat. I don't think you can hit the mineral line, but probably quite annoying for your opponent. And if not, seems like I don't think you can actually put anything up on that high ground. And yeah, look how close these barracks are to each other. Kind of funny to see, considering that these are just in their naturals. Definitely not looking like it's any sort of proxy racks play. Both good taking gas here, so just factories to follow up. Maybe producing a marine or two just for safety, but honestly, unless your opponent is like proxy racking you or something, these vultures just dominate marines so hard. Might not even be worth making any. Looks like kOs is scouting the wrong direction, so he might be kind of forced into making a couple marines. But nope, gonna lift off his barracks, says, I don't care. XellOs is making a marine. Oh, okay. I guess the barracks was just in the wrong place for kOs there. How do you think, unless you have some info on your opponent, the marine is probably a good choice. Looks like it's just going to be one for each player. And then using the barracks to scout. Terran buildings do fly, so it looks like that high ground is somewhere you could put siege tanks too, so that is pretty relevant. Might come into play here. Dropping siege tanks on the high ground is something that's been pretty powerful since like Lost Temple. Kind of the reason that map is definitely a broken map is those high grounds. But what a classic. First time I actually played it was in StarCraft 2, but still a very old map. What's up? Foreigners representing. I don't know who those are, but they might be players, might be just some fans coming to watch. It's from 2003, so a little bit into StarCraft as an esport. I think really it started in '98, the very earliest. Okay, and the armory here. Going up for kOs. I haven't seen one yet for XellOs. So there's a bit of a difference there. Not sure if that's just for upgrades or what. A little bit of a vulture harass. Actually kills off the SCV building the armory. Gets another one too. Wow, that one vulture killed 2 SCVs. Pretty crazy. Both of them offensively landing their barracks. It's kind of funny. I have seen that actually be relevant if you land it like next to their factory that they want to make an add-on with or something like that. Can be pretty annoying, but definitely looks here like they're just going to get some scouting done and then pushed out by the Marines. It will take those Marines about a year to kill a barracks on their own, so not in much danger from dying. And here we go, there's a bit of an engagement here, but probably not one that XellOs should be taking. 2 vultures against 4 is, well, I'm sure that you can do math and realize that's not a good time. And so actually the trade is 4 for 1. Pretty painful, actually. Those early vultures getting traded so inefficiently by XellOs leaves him a little bit open. He also did lose that 1 vulture, killing 2 SCVs. So he is definitely down on units here. Looks like there might be some economic damage back the other way. Another vulture killed, and here we go. Starting on these SCVs. They do manage the citizen's arrest on one of those vultures. But 2 still here, and now 2 Goliaths. Goliaths own vultures pretty damn hard, but these mines might be able to stop them from running in. Actually, all of them picked off before burrowing, so very nice for kOs. XellOs is actually in a bit of trouble here. More SCVs getting pulled, which means more will die. 3 vultures running in, laying mines close to those Goliaths, but this might even splash on his own workers, and it does. Both Goliaths do die, though, so is now cleared. Gotta say that was pretty decent damage there for kOs. He's now started tank production as well, so probably transitioning into just being safe from here. Pretty nicely done. Good trades for him. He lost a couple SCVs early to that 1 vulture, but definitely got that damage back, plus some. Also does have his expansion started earlier, so definitely a nice little spot for kOs. Looks like he's even going to be doing a contain here. Barracks for spotting, and I still haven't seen an armory, so not expecting any Goliaths to pop out. kOs moving his tanks forward. He's got them sieged up in a pretty good spot. I don't think XellOs actually has siege mode yet, which kind of matters. But he is pushing forward, looking for that bust. Vultures are not in position, so they do not get to block. But 2 tanks already down. At worst now, it can be an even trade on tanks. kOs last tank does die, so it is 2 for 2. Did damage those tanks. That 1 vulture could run back in and stand in between them and shoot them both down, but obviously just unsieging would stop that. So kind of an unfortunate loss there for kOs, really. Probably would have been better off just leaving those tanks at home and sort of reinforcing his better position. Looks like XellOs has started his CC, which we are now getting a quick look at, but with the speed of kOs CC, he is definitely in a position where he's going to be winning economically. So losing the tanks is probably worse for him. But again, it's a 2 for 2 trade, so can't be that bad. Armory is actually done here for XellOs, so he did get into that. He's not going to be too far behind on upgrades, although it isn't spinning right now. I think the little wheel in the middle of an armory spins when it's upgrading. I don't know, though. That could be wrong. That could be totally wrong. That might be some StarCraft 2 memory right there, I'm not sure. So looking at the map now, I would give the edge to kOs, but this is TVT, so really it's going to be about long-term decision-making. This 1 SCV is being very annoying, forcing XellOs to bring some units over to his, what will be his, I guess natural, but, well, no, I mean, it's his second base, but it's not his natural. I don't know. Although, does the natural change depending on the matchup, maybe? I don't know, man. kOs did take what I would kind of think is the natural. It sort of looks easier to get that base. It shares a door with your main out onto the center of the map, but in these positions, it might really just be easier to take the further away base. Here's some of that dropship play that I was kind of expecting. A lot of room in these bases to move around too. A lot of room to hide in, potentially ambush your opponent, and wow, this dropship just runs in. Basically nothing to stop it. First tank dropped out, kind of in not a great position though. Second tank dropped out behind the minerals, gonna be pretty damn annoying. Hot pickup there on that first tank drop. Second is sieging here, but gonna just be killed off by SCVs and a couple Goliaths, so not actually a very good drop. Definitely, I would not call that worth losing a tank basically for free there. Might have killed like an SCV, but not a lot of damage. XellOs taking a quick third here. His second base basically just finished. Already building a third. This is not Protoss versus Terran. Usually there's a little bit more of a delay in between the second and third bases, but he was behind on his second base, so not crazy to take the quick third, try to get back into the game economically. And siege tanks are pretty good defensively, so if he plans to kind of just turtle and make SCVs, not a horrible plan, I'd say. Okay, here's another dropship moving out. I'm not sure what's in there. I think that first drop honestly would have done a lot better if it was just Goliaths. Okay, tanks on the high ground, but they get taken out by XellOs tanks, and again, a lossless clear on that. SCVs evacuate from the main here. Looks like there is, I think, 2 Goliaths and a tank, probably. XellOs pulling his tanks back to push those out. And yeah, the high ground is definitely relevant on this map. Something I was talking about earlier. The tanks with their AoE damage don't care quite as much about high ground. And they do actually finish off those 2 takes at the top, but the drop in the main getting some actual damage done here, pretty nice. Definitely wasn't really working for kOs. His drops weren't really getting any damage done. It's kind of just trading inefficiently, but that last drop did do some decent damage. That's a lot of Ds. I think the third has been scouted. kOs in the meantime has taken his own third, so he's not behind on those bases, still able to produce the same number of SCVs. So I would have put this game at kOs favored, but he kind of was inefficient with these drops. One of them got some damage done, but a lot of them were just kind of donating units. So I think this game's pretty even right now. It is going to come down to long-term decision-making and macro more than anything, just given the matchup. But, yeah. So far, in the sort of mid-game, I guess I'd have to give the edge to XellOs a little bit. Drop running down to the third now. Was scouted, but no units here to stop it. So XellOs gonna have to... Yeah, sure. One of the counters to drops is drops. So when your opponent starts running or flying around with dropships, you kind of just have to do the same thing. And so XellOs is doing that to keep up his mobility. It's like 3 add-ons. Quite a few there. Is he can't be on 3 fact. There's no way. Ooh, wow, actually pretty nice trade there for kOs. SCV's even pulled off to fight these tanks right now. They, I can say the splash damage is probably doing more than the actual SCVs, but they do manage to take out a couple tanks there. A turret done here as well. Pretty annoying. Oh, wow, that first dropship dies. I wonder if there was any units in there. Kind of guessing no, they probably would have been dropped if there were, but the real problem here is this base is getting shelled. All the SCVs are gone, dead or evacuated. And now XellOs is down a base here, more or less. It looks like the CC was actually destroyed. That's a pretty big deal. Definitely could have at least just clicked it and pressed L. You don't want to take that L for not pressing L. It's kind of an unfortunate loss there for him. So going to have to rebuild his command center. fully down that base now. The STV law is also pretty relevant, so kOs back in the lead after a pretty nice attack there. Looks like XellOs' solution is to put some tanks on the high ground and shell his own opponent with that sort of strategy. 4 tanks sieged here. Gonna be pretty annoying to deal with. Turret down, so dropship has quite a bit of control, and actually the production is under fire a little bit. The academy, not that relevant anymore. Basically just building comsats, but yeah, kind of tough now that his starport is getting hit. Not sure if the factories are close enough. Also, some of these SCVs going down. A lot of them were evacuated, so not all the SCVs from his main lost. And kOs is actually dropping at the 3rd in response. This game is getting a little bit messy, but TBTs can definitely get like this once you get in the drop phase. And damn, that was a lot of SCVs that just went down. Very tit for tat here. I think it might... Oh, this is at the 3rd. Okay. I was thinking that was in the main, but yeah, if this is the 3rd, that's... I guess that's actually the... that's the 2nd base for kOs that he took. But no factories actually there to be attacked. But now XellOs is dropping on top of the factories, and this can be a really big deal. Despite all the damage that XellOs has taken, he might be able to win this game just by forcing his opponent to stop making units, while he himself is still able to do so. Even with a debilitated economy, if you're able to produce units and your opponent can't, you're still going to win. Doesn't matter how much money you have, you can't make stuff without it immediately dying. So this could be pretty devastating. kOs is going to have to respond to this for sure. Looks like his choice is to bring his units home and fight. XellOs in the meantime taking another base. That poor tank was probably dropped next to those siege tanks. Just hoping that XellOs never noticed. And here we go. Looks like kOs is going to be able to clean this up. Did lose quite a bit of his base. A lot of depots went down. I think an add-on at least for his factories. Now XellOs is actually dropping here at the 3rd as well. And it looks like he's going to get a decent number of SCV kills. Some of them have been evacuated out, but a lot of them left here to die. More SCVs running in. I think those were transferred from the main. All of them get blown up really quickly. And this game is definitely becoming a scrappy one. Ooh, man. XellOs there really taking an inefficient trade with that drop. Kind of getting nothing out of it. 2 dropships worth of mech units for free. The tanks rallied up do clean this out. I'd love to see the supplies right now. That's actually a pretty interesting thought. I think both players are getting probably pretty low. Their SCV counts have been set back quite a bit here. But the armies, I'm not really sure. We're kind of just all over the place with them right now. This 4 tank drop, so far doing pretty well. Killing 1 tank and a vulture for free. And they are in range of the factories, so kOs is going to have to respond, and he does by dropping some tanks of his own on top of those siege tanks. Pretty efficient clear there. God, okay. I can't read it. It looks like it is triple-digit supply, though. Nope, 91? Something like that? Okay. It's not horrible, but not great supply here for kOs. I also just want to know what the worker count is. I think that would be pretty interesting. Obviously, this late, or this early, I suppose, into StarCraft's history, we didn't get to see stuff like the supply or minerals or SCV counts. Kind of innovations that came a little later, I guess. Not sure exactly when that happened. That high ground tank cleared pretty well there by kOs. 1 tank. Not nearly as dangerous as like 4. A lot easier to just run up to it. Okay, kOs is taking this. I don't even know what base that is. Middle base, I guess? Middle left. There. It does actually have what looks like a pretty decent economy. Alright, so XellOs has this base mining, and maybe one of those two on the bottom right, I think, is mining. Not sure how healthy it is, but it looks like there's something over there. Cheeky little tank on the high ground over by what we're going to call the third here for kOs now. I think that's actually his fourth. But pretty quickly reacted to. He's going to deny that gas, but don't think any SCVs were actually lost. And now dropping his own tanks on top of that one. Oh, that's just sad. All three of those SCVs had minerals. Not something you can really worry about mid-game. Your actions are already so taxed. You know, who cares about 24 minerals, but it is kind of sad. Obviously preferable to not delete minerals that your SCVs have mined, but not that impactful at the end of the day. Better to just get the SCVs mining and not worry about it, probably. Okay, so this base is not really mining yet, but it is producing SCVs. One SCV over there mining. So I'm going to say it's 2 base economy versus 1, but the one of XellOs can definitely become 2 pretty easily. Maybe transfer some SCVs from this base that we're about to see over to his second base. I don't know. Yeah, his natural is officially base 1, and the bottom right base is base 2, because I say so. Looks like XellOs actually taking a fourth base. Oh yeah, I forgot about that middle base. So yeah, XellOs definitely, kOs definitely with a better economy right now. But that's not everything. A lot of TVT just comes down to positioning. Siege tanks are pretty position based, so if even if you have less tanks, if yours are sieged up and your opponent has to run into them, it might not matter. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It almost looked like tanks that kOs would have been dropping there, but XellOs stealth dropping his own side of the map? I don't know. That Goliath got picked off for free there by some siege tanks. This one went from pretty wild to really calming down quite a bit. Both these players now just happy to macro back up, keep their SCV production going, make those tanks. Kind of a lot of Goliaths here from kOs. Really their main job here is just to kill dropships. Actually, a big fleet of dropships as well. Kind of didn't register that that's like 8 dropships or something. I think it's 6. That is a lot of drops. See what his plan is with those. I think at that point it's probably something of a doom drop. Might want to just drop a bunch of shit onto his opponent's factories. Might want to drop on top of his opponent's army. I don't know. We'll have to see. Oh, XellOs actually transferring SCVs with dropships. Looks like he's being contained a little bit at the entrance to his first 2 bases, so a little bit safer to transfer them. I guess that's probably why he did a bit of a stealth drop on his own side of the map too. Kind of making a little more sense now. Yeah, positioning, like I said, very important. But here we go. Attack, dropping on top of these tanks at the third. And looks like a pretty good clear from kOs. And XellOs is going to be losing a lot of SCVs. Boom! There they go. Bunch of kills there, but actually the tanks end up shooting each other and dying anyway. XellOs dropping his own tanks on top of these to finish it off, so I don't know actually who won that out. Definitely a lot of SCVs lost, but that was quite a few tanks and Goliaths killed there. So not like it was free damage or anything. Looks like kOs is on 5 factories right now. Definitely tough to produce a lot. Oh, that's a mineral-only base, looks like. So, no gas there is pretty relevant. Not really going to help him build anything other than vultures. That said, a bunch of extra vultures, not a bad thing. And a tank drop up on this high ground is going to be pretty tough for kOs to clear. Looks like they are in range of the bottom patches, so going to be denying some mining at least. kOs is dropping some units on top of them. Can't really see who's actually winning the fight. It looks like kOs did clear everything, but lost basically all the units that he needed, or that he was using to do that. The contain is looking pretty breakable. Not really that many tanks there. I think XellOs might want to consider busting out. Oh, SCVs being transferred into tank fire. You know, there are times when you want to lose SCVs for supply, but I would say this is definitely not one of them. Not expecting either of these players to be maxed yet, so kind of a tough loss there for XellOs. SCVs would have been much nicer mining minerals for sure. Alright, loading up another drop here. Looks like 6 or so dropships, something like that. Is full fleet, I'm thinking. And here are the 4 dropships of XellOs. Looks like they're going to find this base here. Pretty easy to cancel that if he wants to, but deciding that he'd rather go and try to get some SCVs at this completed base. Tanks are dropped off. And yeah, turrets don't fight tanks very well. There are some siege tanks here to fight back. We'll have to see if it's enough. The SCVs come out to fight as well. Honestly, not... Yeah, pretty good clear there for kOs. I'd say that was definitely better for him. Trading SCVs for tanks is usually pretty nice. Definitely starting to look like kOs is solidly ahead in this game, just based on the number of mining bases and his map position. There's a lot more green on the mini-map than there is yellow. It's kind of hard to tell with the quality on this video, but I think it's clear enough. Even just when we look at how many bases there are. Definitely a better economy for kOs. Also more dropships. I'm not sure. Okay, well, I'd say that as XellOs is making drops. Here we go, actually a drop on top of this army. Looks like he is trying to bust out, but at the same time kOs is dropping his own army out, and it looks like he's going to be able to take the fight. Tanks siege out for kOs, and XellOs calls the GG. Just too far behind there, I guess. Pretty nicely played by kOs there. Kind of just winning out in a long TVT. Better map movement. Obviously better map control with that contain lasting so long, and really able to grind his opponent down by killing those SCVs and taking some pretty nice trades. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this pretty solid TVT. I know I did, and I hope you come back for the next one.